Welcome back to SnowRunner, guys, and today we're going to be checking out a mod that you guys have seen on one of my recent live streams, but I haven't gotten the chance to do a full in-depth deep dive on this particular truck. Now, it is a Truggy based on, or I should say, loosely based around a Toyota Tacoma. Now, there's a Chevy V8 under the hood now. I believe these axles are 1 tons or heavier, and the back of the truck has been cut off and replaced with essentially a tube chassis that is now on coilovers and fully linked. So with that being said, though, this thing is an absolute monster on the trails, and I've brought it out here to RockRunner's new trail map to show you guys what this thing can really do in a realistic setting. But before we do that, we're going to take it into the garage, we're going to customize it, and also before we go any further into the video, I do want to let you guys know that this is not only a branded PC-only mod, but it is also a donator access mod, and I will leave the link to the creator's Discord in the description down below, where you guys can find a little bit more information on how you can get your hands on this particular truck. So let's go into the garage and go through some of the customization options. Now, we start off with a 350, then we have a tuned 350 and a performance 350. Now, even if you're driving this thing in a very realistic fashion, I still like to go with the performance 350 because if you need the extra grunt, it's there, but you can keep it in the low ranges most of the time and just rely on the torque. Now, you have one gearbox option, a proper 6-speed, and then suspension, you have crawler, and then the exact same crawler tune, but with no damage. That is completely up to how you like to play the game. I prefer it with no damage, but your choice could be a little different. Now, tires-wise, you got a bunch of different 46-inch tires. You have Michelin X ZLs, you have TSL Boggers, Nitto Mud Grapplers, IROCs, BFG MTs, Maxxis M9060s, BFG Crawlers, BFG KO2s. The list goes on and on and on and on. And if you want to go a little bit outside of what people would normally put on a Truggy and go with like a big show wheel, you have that option as well with these enormous Archon wheels. Now, what we're actually going to go with is a set of these guys, the Michelin X ZLs, and then wheels-wise, we're going to be going into the wheels just a little bit later, but you have a lot of different options. I mean, you have way more options than you could really possibly ever need for a truck like this, but the fact that you have all those options is really, really cool. Now, on this rear sort of shelf, you can throw some gas cans, some repair parts, stuff like that, and then when you're going through the wheel selection, this is where, like I said before, this is where it gets really interesting because you have everything from some really old school style wheels that you could find, you know, you would find a lot of old school crawler builds, all the way up to like modern race lines, KMC wheels, all sorts of stuff. You have these as well, which are more like they're a very like military style wheel. That entirely depends on, you know, whether or not you run those is entirely dependent on the vibe you want to go for with the build, though. I'm going to throw, I think, the race lines on it this time. And then colors-wise, I mean, you have basically the sky's the limit, really, on whatever color option you want to go with. And all the colors are in kind of this satin/matte finish. I actually really like the way it looks on this Tacoma. And some of the darker reds look really good. The darker green looks really good. The dark green is very similar to the color that this vehicle came with right out of the gate. But I think I'm going to go with a lighter, kind of bright blue to see how that goes. So we're going to throw beans on the dash, and then now we're going to get this thing out on the trails and see what it's like to drive. Now, one of the cool parts about this map is that you can literally leave the garage, turn right, and immediately be on a trail. Now, this trail actually starts off with some really cool climbs, and some really nice climbs at that. And the nice thing about having all the torque of the top engine is that you can leave it in either low or low plus, as long as you remember to engage four-wheel drive. You can leave it in either low or low plus and pretty much feel around for grip. And then it just, like, once it finds that grip, especially at the front axle, it just bites and goes. And this is low plus at, like, half throttle. And look at that flex. We're not even on a crazy obstacle yet. We're not even on anything that's, like, super gnarly. But it's still already showing you the crazy amount of flex and suspension capability that it has. Literally right out of the box. So let's go ahead and flex our way through these rocks real quick. It doesn't really even have that much flex to do. It just walks its way right through it all. Now, this shelf, I've had issues with in some other vehicles before, but this, I mean, even in just low, I didn't even have to give it any steering inputs. It just walked right up the entire rock shelf. Super easy, said and done, good to go. Now, let's ease this thing right back on down and then into some mud. Now, mud is not really an issue for this. Oh my God, look at that. That is like, you want to talk about some proper flex? That is proper flex right there. And that is most definitely a flex shot. I just wish that this, like, it's like the bottom of a tree root. I just wish that that wasn't, like, in the side of the photo, because that, when you want to talk about, like, crawler flex shots, that's exactly what you're looking for. That looks insane. So now, let's go ahead and get rid of the tool menu. And are we in low plus or low range? I'm just going to leave it in low, because I feel like leaving it in low is probably going to be the best for us on this trail. If we need the extra wheel speed, we'll use it, but we're probably not even going to have to use it. We've got so much grip as it is. It just feels so well tuned, and I think the big detail that I keep coming back to with this truck is how incredibly smooth the suspension actually transitions between obstacles and actually uses the full range of motion. Oh, we might need a little bit of wheel speed for this. Let's try a little bit extra. Oh, there it is. Come on, come on. Not bad. Not bad. It's moving along. It's not too bad, actually. Like, once you get up an obstacle, you, at a certain point, you start to be like, okay, I know what I'm doing here. I'm like, not too bad. Oh, my God. Please, please, let's not. I'm like, let's avoid that rock, please. I'm trying to figure whether or not that rock is going to be an issue or get in the way, but, like, bruh. you can always figure a way around stuff with this thing. God, look at that gorgeous view. If you haven't experimented with this map yet, I highly recommend that you do, because this map brings together all of those elements, and I said this in the live stream recently, but this element brings together, this map brings together those elements that a lot of the old mud runner rock crawling maps and trail riding maps used to have, that not all of the SnowRunner maps have. I mean, some of them really have that mud runner kind of spirit and flavor to them, but, like, not all of them do, and this one absolutely does. If you're looking for that just realistic rock crawling vibe and feel that you could just, like, literally, like, enjoy these trails for hours on end, absolutely check this map out. Let's see if we can do this in low just by feeling around for grip. Not quite. It's trying. It really is trying. I think I'm starting to get a little bit limited by the wheelbase on that obstacle. Let's see if we can bump it. Bump it. Oh, maybe not. Bump it again. Maybe not. It's really close. It really wants to. It's just having a little bit of a tough time finding the top of that hill. Come on. There we go. You can kind of get on the brakes and then build up the throttle and then just send it, but it doesn't always work like that. It doesn't always work that well when you do it that way either. All right. So this is where we're going to try and bump it in automatic mode. And that got us a little bit further, but still not quite. Come on. Oh, there it is. Back into low. Oh, and it fell back down. Holy crap. All right. High range. We're going to send it. Come on. Oh, wow, that's too much send. I did not realize that high range was going to hit that hard. That hits really, 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 really hard. I almost want to come back down and do it again because I don't feel like that was a legit attempt at the obstacle. Because now that I've, like, literally rocket launched myself up and over it, I'm like, that wasn't how that was supposed to go. All right, let's see if we can do that a little bit more realistically. A little bit more realistic bump in high this time. All right, on the handbrake. There you go. Hit it in high. Feather the throttle. That's a lot better. That's a lot more of a realistic approach. And that's kind of the approach that this truck really likes to take on most obstacles. It's how it likes to be driven. And if not, it starts to kind of feel a little bit weird, a little bit strange to drive. But if you drive it with realistic rock crawling and realistic trailing in mind, it will always reward you with these really nice driving dynamics. So let's go ahead and, bump it down right off these rocks. I love the way the sun kind of shimmers off of those raceline wheels. God, they look so good. And then when you have sections of trail like this, you can just stick it in low plus and cruise. You never really run into any issues just cruising along on trail sections like this. It really does work so well. Half throttle, ease it on up the trail. God, it's so good, dude. It is so incredibly relaxed in the way that it drives. Got a little bit of a mud pit coming up. Should just be a nice little in and out. Plunging the front end right in, and wow, just easing it right back out again. This thing has absolutely zero complaints about doing any of this whatsoever. Oh, proper rock crawling shelf. All right, this is gonna be a good one, and that's a good photo. I love how, like, every once in a while I'm like, oh yeah, that's an awesome photo. I need that. I absolutely freaking need that. All right, let's see if we can get a rhythm going right here. The longer wheelbase sometimes can be a little bit iffy on the rock ledges like this, but as long as you find the line that works, you'll be okay. You just gotta find, oh man, just gotta find somewhere that the front end can bite, and bite enough that the rear end can follow it. Yep, that's it. Nope, that's not it. All right, slight winch adjustment. Pulling a little bit of cable, and that's where we needed to be. A little bit of low plus, full throttle, not bad. Okay, so again, I'm still getting used to the way this thing drives. I'm still getting used to the way it responds to my inputs. And then really, I think in the long term, once you develop a lot of, once you get a lot of seat time in this truck, or Truggy rather, you'll get a lot better of an idea of what it likes and how it wants to be driven. And then once you know how it wants to be driven, then all you got to do at that point is just enjoy it, because this thing was built to be driven, it was built to be enjoyed, and it was built to be enjoyed doing exactly what we're doing right now, bouncing around on rocks. Give it some power. Come on. Nope. I love how, oh no. Oh no! That was actually a really realistic thing, though, that can happen in rock crawling, is that if you bump it just a little bit too hard, and then you get up to the top of the hill, but your center of gravity is not in the right place, you can backflip. I mean, that is a very real thing that can happen in rock crawling, and that has actually totaled out quite a few crawlers and vehicles. But, well, easy. Come on. Let's see if we can do a couple of bumps on this thing in high. There we go. Wheel speed, wheel speed, wheel speed. Oh, it's trying to scramble. I got offline. See, this is that element of challenge that makes this thing super fun. I feel like some people would look at it and go, oh, I bet it's like not all that interesting because it probably just walks up everything. And that's actually not the case. It actually takes some focus and some time. See, now I'm in a bit of a weird spot where I'm like, I'm in an okay place, but it's also a weird place because now I need just a little bit of winch assistance to pull the truck around. And now that I've done that, oh, I tried to stop for a minute because I was like, oh, sick photo opportunity, bruh. And then I was like, oh, you can't stop right here on the middle of the obstacle and expect to be okay. Because see, look, it'll start to fall back down. And once it starts to fall back down, you're in some trouble. But, like, what an incredible looking rig. Like, seriously, I'm okay with stopping right there because, like, the rig just looks so good. And then, boom, you're right up the top of the hill, and you're good to go. Now, let me know in the comment section down below what vehicle you would build into a Truggy. Like, if you were gonna do a half, like, you know, tube chassis, like, you know, cut off the bed, do a tube chassis, pick any engine you want, pick any base truck you want, what truck would you use as a Truggy platform? I mean, I think the choice to use a Tacoma here is really, really cool, and I'm really glad that the creator picked that truck. But at the same time, I feel like there's all sorts of great platforms that can be used as the basis for a Truggy build. So once again, let me know what chassis you would start with as the basis for a Truggy build in the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed this video and enjoyed this trail ride, make sure to once again let me know your thoughts and opinions. Hit that like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you guys next time. We're gonna finish this video with this absolutely beautiful view. Look at that.